Good morning. This is the time and place for the zoning administrator's hearing for February 4, 2009. My name is Edith Fuentes, and I will be conducting the hearing as hearing officer. We have two cases today, and relevant exhibits are posted on the panels located directly behind me. Let me just quickly go through our hearing procedure. Under the provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30 of the Glendale Municipal Code, a conditional use permit shall be granted if four required findings are present. 1. That the proposed use will be consistent with the elements and objectives of the general plan. 2. That the use and its associated structures and facilities will not be detrimental to the public health or safety, the general welfare, or the environment. 3. That the use and facilities will not adversely affect or conflict with adjacent uses or impede the normal development of surrounding property. And 4. That adequate public and private facilities will be provided for the use. If the evidence presented in the application and at the hearing meets the criteria just described, then the zoning administrator can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices, which were mailed to property owners located within 500 feet of the subject property, physically posted on the site in question, and placed in the local newspaper. The hearing will proceed as follows. I will read the description of the application or the request, and then read reports received from other city departments and other letters or communications from interested parties. The applicant will be asked to come forward stating both name and address, and will be asked to present the case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and any interested parties will be asked to come forward to speak. Again, clearly stating both name and address within a 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing comments, if desired, in response to testimonies given by preceding speakers within a 5-minute time limit. The hearing will be closed and the case taken under submission. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses and have provided their name and mailing address. I would like to emphasize that the date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. Under the appeal provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30 of the Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from our Building and Safety Section Permit Services Center located on the same floor of this building. If you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of these speaker forms, which have been provided by the front door, and submit it to our planning assistant. I would like to also inform everyone that the official proceedings of the zoning administrator's hearing are recorded on tape as part of public record. Our first case is CUP 2008-049. Location is 1428 East Colorado Street, Unit E. Applicant is Williams Land Use Services. Property owner is John Bobo. This is an application for a conditional use permit to allow the on-site sales, service, and consumption of beer and wine at an existing full-service restaurant located at 1428 East Colorado Street, Unit E, in the C3 Commercial Service Zone, described as portions of lots 12 through 15, tract number 8048, and portion of lot 1, tract number 5718. And at this time, I'd like to ask the case planner, Jale Kiazan, to please give us a brief overview and recommendation on this case.
Good morning, Ms. Fuentes. The next case before you with the case number PCUP 2008-049, located at 1428 East Colorado Street. It is for approval of a conditional use permit to allow sales and service and on-site consumption of beer and wine in an existing full-service restaurant. The project is exempt from CEQA, and previous permits include administrative exception to eliminate one of the existing 14 parking spaces in order to upgrade existing parking facilities to comply with the American with Disability Act, ADA. The existing 1,600 square foot full-service restaurant is located within a single-story multi-tenant commercial building at the corner of Colorado Street and Langley Street. There are 13 parking spaces available to all tenants on the subject site, and access to the parking area is from Colorado Street. The hours of operations are currently 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. According to the Glendale Police Department, the census tract in which the property is located allows for 4 on-sale establishments. There is currently 1 on-sale establishment in this tract. The police department did not cite any concern regarding the project, the small scale of the restaurant, its location on Colorado Street, and the existing on-site parking make it unlikely that transportation or parking will be seriously impacted by the project. The restaurant has operated on the premises for many years without its detriment. The continuance of such a restaurant serving beer and wine with meals should present no negative impact. Sales of beer and wine should not require any new city services, affect public safety and welfare, or be in conflict with existing or anticipated surrounding land use. Staff believes that all of the findings regarding this project can be made in a positive manner due to the project's small scale, the lack of any likely impact, and that alcoholic sale is consistent with restaurant uses in the C3 zone. Staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit with the following conditions. Limit hours of alcohol sales from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This would protect against possible impact from late-night alcohol consumption. Staff realizes that currently the hours of operation is 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The suggested hours is to allow flexibility for future change in operation of hours, and also a time after which alcoholic beverages should not be served. The next condition is a new conditional use permit be required if the restaurant wishes to sell distilled spirit or alcoholic beverages other than beer and wine. Per fire prevention engineering suggestion, a sign must be posted at the entrance to the restaurant stating that maximum occupancy should not exceed 49%. And the last suggestion or condition is require renewal of the conditional use permit in 3 years. This concludes my presentation. Any question?
Thank you very much, Jale. And just for the record, I also want to mention that we did not receive any major concerns from any other city departments or any of the neighbors. So,
right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm going to ask the applicant To present the case, Janelle Williams.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Janelle Williams, Williams Land Use Services, 2418 Honolulu Avenue in Montrose. Thank you, Gillet, for your report. This is a request for a new conditional use permit to allow sales, service, and on-site consumption of beer and wine in an existing full-service restaurant. And I would like to hand you 18 written statements from patrons as well as 37 signatures.
I'm assuming in support
All in
of the...
support of this application.
Okay.
I'll just go into the findings. Taco Azteca, located at 1428 East Colorado Street, is a place where patrons come for a hearty casual meal in Glendale's easterly commercial district. It's a full-service restaurant located on Colorado Street, which is classified as a major arterial in accordance with the circulation element of the general plan. Circulation element identifies this street as having a predominant use character of community and regional commercial, which is compatible with the operation of the restaurant and the conditional use permit that we seek. They have a full-service kitchen where everything is prepared fresh and delivered by wait staff to the table. And the C3 zoning designation permits the service of beer and wine with the conditional approval that we seek. The zoning designation is compatible with the operation of the restaurant and its conditional use permit request for the on-site sales of beer and wine. The second finding, the conditions that you impose will ensure that the operation of the restaurant and the service of beer and wine for on-site consumption will be in strict accordance with the requirements of the code and will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, general welfare, or to the environment. The strict application of ABC laws will require compliance with all conditions of approval. The objective will be achieved by verifying minimum age requirements for drinking alcoholic beverages at the table and by serving beer or wine in conjunction with the service of food. The restaurant has existed at the location, third finding, the restaurant has existed at this location for approximately 4 years without adversely affecting or conflicting with its adjacent uses. Since it is existing in an area that's fully built out, there's no chance of it impeding development of the surrounding property. The ability for an adult diner to enjoy a glass of beer or wine with a meal is an amenity that's been requested by existing patrons of the restaurant and anticipated by new patrons. Fourth finding, adequate public and private facilities exist to the site to conform to the City of Glendale's code requirements. This request is for permission to serve beer and wine for on-site consumption in an existing restaurant. Therefore, no changes would occur to the demand for utilities, parking spaces, or traffic measures. They're funny, aren't they?
I'm sorry.
Improved streets are adjacent to the project area and provide adequate access. Your typical limited time period for renewal of the conditional use permit will also provide opportunities for the city to ensure the adequate maintenance and operation within the law at all times. The applicants operate their business to the highest standards and would continue to do so with the grant of this conditional use permit. I will pause. Is Mr. Bobo here? The owner, Mr. Bobo, is here, and I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay. And again, just for the record, I have 37 signatures in support of the application and also 18 signatures with, I love the statements.
Are they great?
See alcohol, por favor. I love this place and would eat here more if it had beer. They have the best tacos in LA.
We also have a copy
this is
of
a
the
good way.
menu.
Yeah, this is a good way to get their comments and support of the application. But thank you very much.
It's helpful. And,
So
we also
18
have a menu
signatures
for-
with positive comments, and you have a copy of the menu. Yeah. Okay.
Carry-out menus inside.
Thank you. And I have a few questions. So how long have they been in operation at this location?
4 years.
4 years. And what's the number of employees they have?
2 to 3
2
maximum.
to 3.
Correct? 2 to 3 maximum.
And their days of operation?
7
7 days a week?
days a week.
That's good. From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.?
Yes.
And here you do take out catering and all those. And this is strictly a type, what type of license? Are you 41, 42, 47, 41? Strictly beer and wine.
Correct.
And if you ever decide to go with distilled spirits, we're going to have to redo your conditional use permit. I think beer and wine go better with tacos, right? Sí, por favor.
Sí, por favor.
Okay, Mr. John, thank you very much. Mr. John Bobo, you want to say a few things or something? Just give me your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is John Bobo, and my address is 10161 Larwin Avenue, Unit 5 in Chatsworth, 91311.
And you are the owner of the
Am the
business? Of the business.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you always at the location, or do you have a manager, or
I have a manager.
you have a manager?
Manager, yes.
And about 2 to 3 employees?
Yes, correct.
Anything else you would like to say, or?
Well, I just think that with the comments that the patrons have made, it's self-explanatory, and that they really desire to have beer or wine with their meal, and I would appreciate the approval.
Okay. Is your manager here today?
No.
No?
No, he's working.
Yeah. A lot of times that's what happened.
Yes.
The person that's running the establishment is not present at the public hearing to hear some of the comments, some of the concerns and issues. So make sure when a decision letter comes out, he gets a copy of that decision letter and he knows all of the conditions
Absolutely.
attached to that conditional use
Yes.
permit.
Yes.
A lot of times they have no idea what took place at the public hearing, what are the conditions that were attached, and they just go on their,
I understand.
business. Okay?
Yes.
I just
Being
want,
a former school principal and educator, I will see
just
that
want to
that's
make
done.
sure he gets it
Yes.
and he gets educated
Absolutely.
on that. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else here who would like to speak in support or in opposition to this application? Seeing none, closing comments, Ms. Janelle Williams?
Only that it's appropriate in the zone, and they just wish to fairly compete. The economy is hard right now, and we think this would really help to support this small business. I would ask that the first condition not be adopted, which has to do with the service and the hours of service, 10 a.m. to 12 midnight. It's true
What
that
I
they're all-
normally
Yes.
do as far as condition on the hours is I do a statement that says in conformity with the State Department of Alcoholic Beverage
That was-
hours of operation, or
That would
we can
suffice.
always discuss.
That's acceptable, just because if they change their hours of operation and have, go to 1 o'clock in the morning, which I doubt, but it could happen, and I wouldn't want them to be limited. It'd give them some flexibility on that.
I will look into that.
Thank you.
Okay,
I can assure you will not.
Okay.
that's okay. Thank you. Okay, seeing there's no more closing comments, I will go ahead, take this case under submission, and we'll let you know. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Jale. That was a good report.
Thank you.
Our next case is Conditional Use Permit 2008-047. Applicant is Shorig Yepremian Consulting. Property owner is Hasmik Mardirosyan. And our case planner is Roger Kissel. This is an application for a conditional use permit to allow the construction of a new 2,980 square foot, two-story single-family residence with an attached two-car garage on a lot with a 65 feet wide, located at 1841 Tamer Lane Drive in the R1R Restricted Residential Zone, Floor Area District 2, described as Lot 9, tract number 13891. And at this time, I'd like to ask Roger Kissel, the case planner, to do a brief overview and recommendation. Roger?
Good morning. The next case before you is case number CUP 2008-047, a conditional use permit to request the construction of a new single-family residence on a lot that is 65 feet in width. The subject property or subject site is located at 1841 Tamerlane Drive in the R1R zone. Approval of a conditional use permit is required to construct a new dwelling unit on a lot having a lot width less than 80 feet in the R1R zone. The project proposes to construct a new 2,980 square foot, two-story single-family residence with an attached two-car garage on an 8,030 square foot lot. The existing 1,750 square foot house, one-story house and detached garage will be demolished as a result of the project. As previously mentioned, the subject site is in the R1R zone, as is most of the surrounding area, which is developed with single-family houses. The R2250 zone is located west of the site along Verduga Road, and this area contains multifamily housing. The engineering section of the Public Works Department indicated that this site is located in a liquefaction zone. A soils engineering investigation and liquefaction study performed by Hydrolog Inc. indicated that construction of the proposed two-story house is feasible, and the report contains recommendations for site development. No other city departments had comments regarding this project. The land use element of the general plan designates the subject site, as well as most of the surrounding area, as low-density residential, which allows for development of a single-family house. The proposed project should not be detrimental to the public health or safety, as a single-family residence has existed on the subject site for many years and is surrounded by similar uses. The project should not conflict with adjacent uses or impede development of surrounding property, since the area is already developed and most of the nearby lots have lot widths less than 80 feet. Demand for public facilities and traffic circulation should not increase to any significant degree. The project complies with all the development standards in the R1R zone. Staff believes that all the conditional use permit findings can be made regarding this project in a positive manner, and recommends approval of the project with a suggested condition as follows. And that condition is, due to the site's location in a liquefaction zone, all recommendations contained in the soils report should be incorporated into the design of the project. Staff has received 13 letters regarding the project. One is in support, the other have been in opposition. In addition, one petition was submitted supporting the project with 8 signatures. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I'm just going to add some comments we received from other city departments. From engineering, they have a long list of code requirements that address the demolition permit, grading permit, method of discharge of on-site drainage. Any unused driveway apron shall be removed and replaced to city standards. Remove and replace all broken and damaged street improvements to city standards. Separate permits are required for all work within the right-of-way, and the applicant shall comply with all NPDES requirements. They also would like you to, which you have submitted, the soils engineering and geological reports. And we also have, as far as the integrated waste administrative services, let's see. They want you to comply with the city's construction and demolition waste reduction and recycling plans. And as far as the urban forester is concerned, they have a few recommendations as far as maintaining and planting of trees on site. And they have suggested conditions and tree samples that you can use on site. Traffic and Transportation is suggesting that the driveway be designed or constructed in full compliance with city code requirements. And as far as the electrical engineering is concerned, while they do not have any major concerns regarding the conditional use permit, they have a few restrictions on the size of electric service to the home and full cost will be at the applicant's expense and all that. Okay. And I do have a copy of the Soils Engineering Investigation and Liquefaction Study. And again, just for the record, I want to mention that we did receive communications from some of the neighbors. I have one here that is in support of the application from Tamer Lane Drive. I also have 8 signatures. It's a petition basically in support of the application. From a neighbor on Hillside Drive. In opposition of the application. But basically the opposition is because of the two-story nature of the application. And I just want to mention the item I am considering today is the width of the lot. So this is the first step in the process. The project still has to go through design review board and other review process. Another letter from a neighbor on Hillside Drive in opposition to the application. Another communication from a real estate agent. Her concern is basically this two-story house on the cul-de-sac and not enough parking on the street. From neighbors on Verdugo Knolls Drive, basically in opposition of the application. The only thing they're saying is the project is not in keeping with the homes on Tamer Lane and would be out of scale. From a neighbor on Tamer Lane in opposition of the application. Again, from one of the neighbors in opposition to the application. Basically, the concerns are blocking the view from their residence and the two-story nature of the house. Neighbor on Hillside Drive, in opposition to the application. From a neighbor on Tamer Lane Drive. In opposition to the application, but basically due to privacy, view, and two-story nature of the house. And again, from a neighbor on Hillside Drive, in opposition to the application. Just mentioning that the project is not in keeping with the homes on Tamer Lane. Neighbor on from Verdugo Knolls Drive. Again, the size of the house and the character of other homes on the street in opposition. A petition from about, I think, 15 or 16 neighbors in opposition. Again, due to blocking the sunlight, privacy, two-story nature of the house. A neighbor on Hillside Drive in opposition to the application. And neighbors from Tamer Lane Drive in opposition to the application. Again, basically due to the second-story nature of the application. And our files are open for anyone. If you would like to see some of the comments, you can take a look at them, read them. To present the case, Shorig Yepremian.
Good morning, Ms. Fuentes.
Morning.
And staff, Shorik Yepremian Consulting, Inc. You have my office address and phone number on file. I'm here today representing Mr. and Mrs. Mardirosyan, who have resided at 1841 Tamer Lane Drive for the last 15 years or so. Staff already went over the proposed project in detail. I have reviewed the case file, the staff report. We do agree with the facts of the case presented in the staff report, with the analysis as well as the recommendation with the conditions expressed by staff as well as other departments in the city. Basically, the proposal is to demolish the existing 1,750 square foot house with a detached garage and build a new two-story modern-style house on a 8,030 square foot lot on Tamer Lane Drive. You have all the exhibits posted behind you, starting with the site plan. If you should also have the survey map where it shows the two-car garage located at the end of the property. With the new project, the two-car garage will be moved forward, and as you can see, it's a two-story modern-style house. The zoning on the property is R1R, District Floor Area District 2, which is a residential zoned property with multifamily zoned and development on Vertigo Road. We have also submitted photographs of the property as well. The application in front of you today is a conditional use permit, which is required by the zoning code anytime there's a new development or new construction on a restricted residential zone. In this case, that would be required. Also, the code requires any modification, remodeling that demolishes more than 50% of a structure would also require a conditional use permit. Basically, the site configurations, conditions do not change, except a conditional use permit is required for this project. The requirement, again, is 80 feet or more for lot width. The existing lot width is 65 feet. You can see that on the site plan as well. Since staff went over the project detail, I would like to jump in and go over the findings since the burden of the proof is on the applicant. Number one is, how will the proposed use be consistent with the various elements and objectives of the general plan? We agree that the proposed use is consistent with the various elements of the general plan. The property is zoned R1R, as I mentioned, floor area district 2, which allows 40% floor area. This proposal is less than that. I believe it's 37%. The subject property is already developed with a single-family residence, so there's no change from what's existing right now to what is proposed. The applicant is proposing, as I said, to demolish the existing 1,750 square foot house and build a new 2,980 square foot residence. The new house will be built on the same building pad and the general location of the existing house, maintaining the natural setting of the property. With this proposal, as you can see, there is a more usable and functional backyard since the two-car garage is moved forward. So the rear yard provides ample size yard and area. Number two is, why will the proposed use and its associated structures and facilities not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or general welfare, or the environment? We indicate that the proposed single-family house will not be detrimental to the public health or safety, the general welfare, or the environment. The proposal has been reviewed under California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and is exempt because it's a single-family development. The proposed new house will replace the already existing house on the same building pad, meeting the current code requirements and general plan elements. The project will not be detrimental to the public health or safety, since it will be a new house in an already developed neighborhood. The surrounding neighborhood's lot, frontages, and lot widths are similar to this property. Most of the homes in the neighborhood are developed on lots with less than 80 feet wide and have not proven to be detrimental to the general welfare of the neighborhood or the environment. Public Works also required the soils report, which was prepared and submitted, and it's in your file. We will comply with all the conditions of the soils report as well. We have also gathered signatures, which you have copies of from the immediate neighbors to show their support of the project. And also, I believe I submitted a copy of the petition to you earlier. Number 3, why will the proposed use and facilities not be adversely affected or conflict with adjacent uses or impede the normal development of the surrounding property? The proposed new single-family house will not adversely affect or conflict with adjacent uses or impede the normal development of surrounding property by providing code-required setbacks, height, parking, and open space compatible with existing uses in neighborhood. Just to make a note that we have not filed a variance application. The project meets all the zoning code requirements in terms of setback, height, number of parking spaces, and so forth. The subject site is 8,030 square feet with 65 feet frontage on Tamerlane Drive. The lot width as measured per zoning code is also 65 feet, where the code requires a minimum of 80 feet for new development. Many of the lots on Tamerlane Drive have lot widths ranging between 50 to 65 feet. Some, if you look at the location map, some are even less than 50 feet, especially the ones at the end of Tamerlane Drive, at the end of the cul-de-sac. And I do have a map which shows all the properties that are less than 80 feet, and majority are less than even 65 feet.
As a matter of fact, there's not a lot on Tamerlane and
That's
Samarkand that meets the 80-foot
Right.
width requirement. Okay.
This is probably the only lot that is 65 feet. The rest of the lots on Tamerlane are less than 65 feet. And finally, explain how the adequate public and private facilities, such as utilities, landscaping, parking spaces, and traffic circulation measures are or will be provided for the proposed use. Adequate public and private facilities, such as setbacks, utilities, landscaping, and open space are provided in accordance with the zoning code requirements. The proposed development has been designed to blend in with the natural setting and the built environment. I do like to also indicate that the project architect also met with Stephanie early on when we first submitted the conditional use permit application to discuss the design of the proposed project, being a modern-style house in this neighborhood, and they did indicate that they really liked the project and supported the design of the project, and the project architect is here to testify on that as well. I would also like to submit a perspective drawing for the file. You can post that up as well. That concludes my presentation. The project architect and the property owner, they are here this morning to answer any questions. If you have any questions, we'll be willing to answer.
Not at this point.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Oh, I just wanted to confirm one thing. You mentioned that the current property owner, they have lived at that location for 15 years
About 15
or more?
years.
Okay.
That's the answer I got.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And if the property owner and the architect would like to say something, or just for the record, they can fill out one of these. Okay. Our next speaker is Razmik Gozalians. Good morning.
Good morning. Razmik Yazarians, 1844 Sher Lane. Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm here on behalf of my father-in-law, who lives directly next door at 1835 Tamer Lane. and they've been living there for 25 years. With the rest of the neighborhoods, more than 40 years in the area. If I may approach, we have submitted this package with some pictures, which includes a letter why he is opposing to conditional use permit for changing the R1R condition and constructing a two-story building with almost twice as much as square footage, and also blocking his view, his sunlight, and also the privacy that he enjoyed for the last 25 years. As you can see on the first picture, the Tamer Lane is basically a one-story building property, and you can see on the arrow that we have in there, by putting a new building in there, it's going to be like a blimp in the middle of the street, and as you can continue on, it'll be all one-story buildings. This will diminishes the character and basically the beauty of the whole neighborhood that we enjoyed in 1840, and Cheryl Lane, Tamer Lane, Hillside, and Oak Knoll. This, in my opinion, certainly violates the second and third provision of the title, because a second story built next to my property, which has a opposing and also bird's eye view of my pool, my bedrooms, and the whole entire building, and the pool area, certainly presents a safety issue in my condition, and it definitely will cut down on the value of the house and the welfare of my in-laws who are in their late 70s. The way the new construction is, it's going to be basically 8 feet, 9 feet, or 10 feet backwards, which means it will effectively cut the entire sunlight and also the entire view that they have paid a premium for their house, and that will devaluate the house. And also on the second and the third page, what was circulated in the neighborhood as far as the construction, there's a discrepancy in what is being submitted to the city, and we see that there are some problems with that. This will certainly diminishes the character of the building, the whole neighborhood, the welfare of my in-laws, and the rest of the neighborhood, and we are opposed to this construction.
Okay.
All right.
A couple of questions.
Yes, please.
The majority of your concerns about the two-story nature of the project.
Story and the
Okay.
size of the building, because
And-
it will involve
Yeah.
going backward, basically northward.
Okay.
10 feet.
Let me ask you a direct question. How about the item that I'm considering today as far as the 65-foot width of the lot? Do you have any?
Yes, we are opposed to it because it is true that the rest of the lots in the area are 65 or less than 80. However, there are one-story.
I'm just asking. I don't need to 65-foot width lot. There's an existing house. It's an existing subdivided lot already built. What's your main issue as far as the 65-foot width? I'm trying to steer you into the right direction because.
the two-story building, basically the fact that it's against the zone, it's not.
Okay. However, I am not here today to consider the number of stories or the two-story nature of the building. It's not an item for me to consider today. And I'm just letting you all know this is the first step in the process. If they get the conditional use permit to build or rebuild on that 65-foot width lot, the next step is the design review board. And I'm letting you all know the design review board, which will consider the bulk, the massing, the number of stories, privacy issues, and everything else as far as the design of the building is concerned. My item today is the 65-foot width lot, and this is just the first step in the process. So I'm letting you know where is the best avenue to take some of your issues and concerns. Design review board is going to review the bulk, the volume, the massing, the height, windows, doors, everything else will be at that level. Is there anything else as far as the 65-foot width lot?
No, it's just the fact that it's against
Okay.
R1.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nancy Klein.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for allowing me to represent my case, or our case.
Just give me your name and address
Okay.
for the record
I'm
again.
Nancy Klein. I live at 1861 Verdugo Knolls Drive, Glendale, 91208. The first thing I want to say, there is another person from our community that would like a letter in opposition.
Okay, thank you.
She's not going to speak because she feels
Okay,
that
that's fine.
there'll be too many people speaking.
Thank you.
I would like you all to know that I'm opposed to this conditional use permit. As you probably know, the Verdugo Woodlands is a very special neighborhood with very modest, stylish-sized homes. And in the past, the planning department has really supported our neighborhood and helped to keep the street and the community the way it is. And that's why it's very special. People move into this area because of its small nature and community feel. As you also know, the code was developed to protect Glendale neighborhoods from being overbuilt and overscaled, and certainly to preserve the character of the streets. The proposed house is way too large, especially the width and the bulk. The house that's on there now is a very small, I can understand why someone would want to remodel it, and certainly we feel that a property owner has the right to build a house. But what they're proposing is way out of proportion for this particular street. The street is an upslope, so if you put a huge, wide house next to some little one-story, very modest homes, it's going to look like a McMansion in the middle of modest homes. So my feeling is, and many of us in the community and on the adjacent streets feel that this house is going to be much too wide. It's out of character and it's not consistent with the existing homes. If the house is allowed, we feel that it will cause hardship and adversely affect the adjacent homeowners, and especially on Tamerlane and the physically adverse. There's two kinds of adversity, emotional adversity and physical adversity. I guess you put them all together. The people on Hillside are going to have this bulky thing empowering their small, modest homes, and of course the people on the sides of the adjacent to the property will be impacted physically, and emotionally it's going to be very detrimental to the feel of the community. I mentioned that the street is uphill, and therefore the lower homes are going to be really impacted. Certainly privacy and sunlight will be a problem, and I think that is very detrimental. Granting this conditional use permit will open the door for other people to do similar projects, and it will destroy the character of the neighborhood for the future. And that's one of our biggest, those of us who live in the Verdugo Woodlands have moved to this charming area because it's charming and it's low-key.
You're going to have to wrap up, Ms.
Okay.
Klein.
One thing that's very important, I understand the builder went around the neighborhood and collected signatures. I think there's about 8. There is some discussion that he misrepresented or she misrepresented the plans. So what we're asking is that you fully investigate this proposed project, look at it carefully, and make
Thank you
sure.
very much, Ms.
That's
Klein.
it.
And like I said, the design review board,
Right.
because I gathered from your comments, your concerns are the architectural style, the character of the neighborhood and the street, and you think that
The
the
width and the
proposed
bulk.
project is not in keeping
Exactly.
with the neighborhood. Thank you
Yes.
very
and
much.
we want the honesty of the builder.
Yeah, that's
The building
between-
should be represented,
I
should be
cannot-
what it says it's
Yeah,
going to be.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Ms. Klein.
Can I just interject one
Yes.
second? I'm sorry.
Okay.
The plans posted on the board now are what is being proposed. And anyone that wishes to see the plans can certainly come to our office. They were actually also posted, I believe, on the web. If there's some concern that the plans were different from what they were shown.
Okay, thank you very much, Roger.
3 more letters.
Okay, and just again for the record, I have 4 letters. Neighbor from Verdugo Knolls Drive. Verdugo Knolls Drive.
I have this one.
Verdugo Knolls Drive.
One of them you should have. I recognize the name.
Yeah, the Seay.
Yeah.
Yeah. William Shay. Basically in opposition to the application. Okay, our next speaker is Catherine Way. Catherine?
Good morning. My name's Catherine Way, and I live at 1831 Tamerlane Drive, two houses down from the proposed house that they're building. And I'm just kind of concerned about the height of it, the 2 stories. And you said, I guess I misunderstood. I didn't know we were supposed to talk about that today.
Like I said, a lot of the concerns that are being brought to my attention today would be better addressed by the Design Review Board. They will review the design of the building, the architectural style, the bulk, the massing, the volume, windows, doors, those type of things. My issue today is the width of the lot.
Okay.
Thank
So we
you.
could come back and talk. When is the date of the?
Should the conditional use permit for this house be approved?
You will be notified.
At some point, the applicants will come back with an application for the design review board process. Once a meeting for that has been set, property owners within 500 feet will be noticed, similar to the conditional use permit hearing today.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
And thank you very much for coming. Is there anybody else here who would like to speak in support or in opposition to this application? Seeing none, Shorig, closing comments. And Ms. Yepremian, I'd like to just kind of address the slope of the property. What's the difference? Is it upslope from the street elevation to the back of the property? I need to know how much
Yeah.
is the elevation or grade difference.
The site, as you can see from the pictures, the street has a slight slope as you drive up the Tamerlane.
Yeah, I was there.
There are few houses, just to make a point, there are at least 3-4 houses that have 2-story or split-level design at the end of the cul-de-sac. The house itself or the site itself is fairly flat, but the architect can testify that as well. Even though the zoning on the property is restricted
right.
residential, typically for hillside properties, but the lots on Tamerlane are fairly flat.
The lane itself kind of slope up
Slopes
a little
up,
bit.
but the
That's about
paths
it.
or
But
the lots
most of the lots,
They're
are fairly-
terraced.
Yeah.
okay.
Would you like the architect to testify on that as well?
He can walk me through the site plan if he wants to do that. But I will ask you to fill out one of these. You already have. You can submit that later on.
And also would like to mention that the zoning code allows 2-story houses in R1 non-residential as well. As I said earlier, the project, we're not asking for any variances or for any deviation from the code in terms of setbacks, height of the building, number of story, or
You
other...
basically meet all the
all
code
the zoning
requirements
code
except
requirements.
for the width of this lot.
for
okay.
the width of the lot, which is an existing condition.
Right. Thank you. Do you want to? Yeah. Why don't you go there first? Give me your name and address for the record. Too.
Okay, my name is Nare Kodadadi. I am the project designer.
Okay.
Our
Your address?
address is 417 Arden Avenue, Glendale.
Okay.
That's our office address.
You can walk me through your.
The slope, actually, it goes down from the right to the left. It's about a 2 feet difference. So, in our elevation, You can see, it goes down like that. And
That is the front elevation, right?
right, that's the front. And we have a setback of minimum 10 feet on both sides, which right now it's about 4 or 5 feet on the left side.
Okay.
So we're maintaining that.
The second story, basically you have the front where you have that little office
Here?
or something. The second story is behind.
Right, the
that
second story
elevation, right?
Right, sits
And-
behind the perimeter wall. There is articulation on both.
So the
first-
second story basically starts
Right,
here.
here, and there's a small balcony in the front.
Okay, so this is one story at the front.
Correct.
And then it goes back, and then this is where the second story
Exactly.
begins.
Same.
Now, on top of the garage,
Same with the garage.
Okay.
It sits back. That's the second floor.
so the garage is here, one story, and then almost halfway into the garage is where the second story begins.
Second story begins.
I'm,
right.
I'm looking at your
Rendering, yeah.
Okay. And above this one story is like a, is that an open terrace?
That's a balcony, right.
Balcony? Okay. So, cutting, okay, so, look at the east and west elevation. Okay, this is where you can see that,
Right, right.
okay.
The
that
railing.
Step up, yeah.
Yeah. So in the rear, our balcony does sit in, so
Okay.
it just, it's got a view of the backyard, a partial backyard, and then, you can't see the balcony from either side.
Okay, so one story and then the second story steps back, and
Right.
that's where you have it.
Yeah, we
Okay.
do have, articulation on both sides, and a second story as
Yeah, I'm
well.
looking at the roof plan.
Right, you can see where, it goes in at some places.
Okay, so there's no balcony or second story on the two sides, but they're at the front and at the rear.
Right, exactly.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and if you have any other questions that the architect may be able to answer or explain, I think, if you could stay for a few minutes after the hearing and just walk them through your site plan if you have any other questions. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead, take this case under submission, and we'll let you know. Thank you all very much for coming, and I'm closing the public hearing at 10:35 in the morning.